Hey guys, it's Saga from TechWorks, and in this video, I'm going to compare the single camera on the Pixel 4a with the dual cameras on the iPhone 12 mini. Many of you requested me to make this video, so I borrowed this Pixel 4a from one of my friends for a few days. Pixel phones have been known for their camera, and Google manages to consistently stay on top of the competition despite of having just one or two cameras on their phone. This is thanks to their amazing computational photography pipeline. Over time, Apple has also been making some advancements in the computational photography arena. So which of these two phones do you think will give us better images? Let's find out. While trying to find out which of these two phones have a better camera might not be that simple, but what is simple is hitting the like button on this video and subscribe button for this channel. So let's get that out of the way. Before we look at the image and video samples from these two phones, it is very important to check out the cameras that we are working with. If you guys know everything about the cameras on these two phones, and if you would like to skip straight away to the image and video samples, you can do that from the chapters in the timeline of this video. Pixel 4a comes with a single 12 megapixel camera with f1.7 aperture, 27mm lens and optical image stabilization. It can shoot 4K videos at 30 fps and 1080p videos at 30, 60 and 120 fps. iPhone 12 mini on the other hand comes with dual 12 megapixel cameras on its back. Primary one gets f1.6 aperture, 26mm lens and optical image stabilization, while the secondary one gets f2.4 aperture and a 13mm ultra wide angle lens. Both these cameras can shoot 4K videos at 24, 30 and 60 fps and 1080p videos at 30, 60, 120 and 240 fps. At the front, Pixel 4a gets an 8 megapixel camera with f2.0 aperture and a 24mm lens. iPhone 12 mini comes with a 12 megapixel sensor with f2.2 aperture and a 23mm lens. With these specs out of the way, let us now move to the image and video samples from these two phones. Starting with the daytime shots, we straight away see some differences in these images. As I zoom in, you can see a lot of digital sharpening being applied by the Pixel 4a to make the elements in its images appear more detailed. But that is also introducing a lot of noise or grain in its images. The other obvious noticeable difference is the color. 12 mini captures a bit punchy and slightly saturated colors, whereas colors from the Pixel 4a are looking a bit dull in comparison. The actual colors of the scene were somewhere in between these two images. Normally, I prefer natural looking colors in my images, and in this case, while colors from the 4a are looking dull, I would say they are the ones that I prefer in some of the shots. But most of the times, while uploading these images to any of the social media platforms, I always bump up the contrast and saturation, so in that case, I would say I prefer the ones from the iPhone 12 mini. Everyone perceives color in a different way, so images from which of these phones you like will depend on your color preference. Now the extra sharpening in the images from the Pixel 4a makes some of its images look better and more detailed, like in this case. Both the phones are in auto mode and the lighting conditions did not change at all while taking these two images. But look at how good the image from the iPhone 12 mini turned out. Same with this one. The slight pop in the colors makes most of the images from the iPhone 12 mini stand out when put against similar images from the Pixel 4a. iPhone has also been capturing a bit warmer colors in all of its shots, while the Pixel 4a leans towards capturing cooler color tones. I've left both these phones on auto HDR, so when it comes to situations like these, they both manage to fire up the HDR mode to make the images look really nice. Both of them are doing a good job of bringing out the shadows and preserving details in the highlights. In most of the outdoor HDR shots, I prefer images from the iPhone 12 mini because of the nice and warm look they have. In this shot, we can see 12 mini has brought up more details in the shadows compared to the Pixel 4a. We see the same thing in this shot, but looking at the overall image, in this case, I prefer the one from the Pixel 4a. In this one, 12 mini has not only managed shadows in a better way, but it also preserved much more details in the highlights, which you can see as I zoom in on this part. For most of the indoor shots, I prefer the ones from the iPhone 12 mini because they are much brighter and very detailed. The iPhone 12 mini automatically switches to the deep fusion mode in these lighting conditions, while on the Pixel 4a, you will have to keep in mind to manually shift to the night mode or risk the shots being dark like you can see here. Both of them are good at taking close-up shots. Focusing is fast and accurate on both, but the minimum focusing distance is a bit better on the Pixel 4a, which means you can get a bit more closer to the subject on it than on the iPhone 12 mini. The main subject is in perfect sharp focus on both the cameras, but the background in the images from the iPhone 12 mini are blurred out a bit more thanks to having a hair wide aperture. So if you like taking close-up shots, you can pick either one of these phones and you will love the results. Moving on to the portrait shots. If you're like me, portrait mode is one of the most important camera feature on any smartphone for you. On the Pixel 4a, portrait shots are zoomed in a bit, while on the iPhone 12 mini, they are captured with the normal 26mm lens. I prefer portrait shots from the iPhone 12 mini. I feel the Pixel again adds a bit of over-sharpening and makes the subject appear too dark, which doesn't always look good, and it is also not as good at handling high dynamic range portrait shots as the iPhone 12 mini. Portraits on the 12 mini look more natural, and the most important thing is, you can see the edge detection in real time on its viewfinder. While on the Pixel 4a, you can't see how good or bad the edge detection is until after you have clicked the image. In some of the portrait shots, I feel 12 mini's images could benefit from the aggressive digital sharpening like Pixel 4a applies, because at times the subjects in its portrait shots appear a bit too soft in comparison. Both can take portrait shots of objects, and they are really good at detecting the edges of objects even if the object is in front of a complex background like you can see in some of these images. Edge detection is a bit sharp or abrupt in the portraits on the Pixel 4a, whereas the blur roll-off is much smoother and natural looking in the portraits from the iPhone 12 mini. Secondary camera on the 12 mini lets it capture much wider field of view, showing a completely different perspective of the scene. Pixel 4a comes with a single camera, so you can't take wide images with it unless you use some sort of external add-on lenses. As you can see, Apple has done an excellent job of matching the color temperature and white balance on both these cameras. This secondary wide camera makes the iPhone 12 mini's camera system much more versatile than the Pixel 4a. With that, let us now move on to the images that I took in indoors, artificial and lower lighting conditions. As I've mentioned earlier, 12 mini gets the deep fusion mode, which helps it capture sharper and detailed images with less noise in most of the indoor and artificial lighting conditions. As you can probably tell, its images are more detailed than the ones from the Pixel 4a in these lighting conditions. With more details and less noise, colors also look better in the low light images from the iPhone 12 mini. When the light gets even lower, you can fire up the night mode on both the phones and the resulting images look really good. You can see a lot of details in these night mode images even as I zoom in on both these images. Now some of the night mode images from the iPhone 12 mini are brighter, but they don't necessarily have more details in them. But some others, which are not brighter, do have more details in them than the ones from the Pixel 4a. While taking night mode images on both these phones, or on any other phones for that matter, you have to keep in mind that these images take longer to capture than the normal ones, and you have to keep your phone very steady while the night mode images are being captured. Any movement during that time will result in a blurry image. So if you want to take night mode images, make sure there are no moving objects in the frame, or if you have people in these shots, ask them to stay very still for 3 to 4 seconds. You can look at these night mode images and be the judge that which one looks better to you. To my eyes, ones from the iPhone 12 mini look more detailed, and it also shows richer and better colors. It also comes with a wide lens, which also gets the deep fusion and night mode, so the cameras on the iPhone 12 mini are definitely more versatile. And if I had to choose one of these phones for taking night mode images, I would go with the iPhone 12 mini. That brings us to the front-facing cameras. Selfies from the 12MP sensor on the 12 mini look noticeably better than the ones from the 8MP sensor on the Pixel 4a. You can see much more details in the selfies from the 12 mini, and it also shows much better skin tones and overall colors. Selfies from the 4a look even more grainy when you try clicking them indoors or in lower lighting conditions. Both can take portrait selfies, and they are pretty good at detecting the edges. Neither of them are perfect, and they occasionally miss out on detecting ears or some strands of your hair. But if I had to choose, I would say the portrait selfies look better and more natural from the iPhone 12 mini. Everything is just more detailed in its portrait selfies, and again, it also produces much better looking colors. Here's a video from the front-facing camera of the Pixel 4a and the iPhone 12 mini. You can see how both these phones are handling the overall colors of the scene, exposure, and stabilization when I'm walking around with them. Both the phones can shoot 4K videos, but the Pixel 4a maxes out at 30 FPS, whereas the iPhone 12 mini can shoot these videos at up to 60 FPS. Just like we saw with the images, even for videos, colors are a bit muted on the Pixel 4a, whereas we see much better colors and contrast in the videos on the iPhone 12 mini. Both also have optical image stabilization, but there are less jitters in the video from the iPhone 12 mini. All in all, videos look better from the iPhone 12 mini, so if you want a better video camera, you should definitely pick the iPhone. So those were all the image and video samples that I had for you from both these phones. While most of the images from the iPhone 12 mini are slightly better, Pixel 4a is not too far behind either, And considering the price difference between these two phones, I would say the Pixel 4a is defending its ground really well. Other than in selfies and while shooting videos, there were not many differences between the cameras on both these smartphones. And the decision that which one would you pick might just come down to your color preference. As I said, normally I prefer natural looking colors in my images. But this time, I am liking the colors coming out of the iPhone 12 mini in all lighting conditions, and it is going to be my pick amongst these two. Which one do you prefer based on their cameras? Would you go with the iPhone 12 mini and choose a better and more versatile camera system? Or would you rather save up some money and go with the single camera on the Google Pixel 4a? Let me know in the comments. Now, whichever phone you decide to get, I will really appreciate if you get it from the affiliate links in the description section. It helps the channel a lot at no extra cost to you. That is it for this video, guys. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for more quality tech videos like this. You can also check out some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.